Vanakkam. Now, I am going to take up chapter number 6 and 7 of peer review guidelines 2022. It is going to be the very interesting area wherein every chartered accountant or every practicing unit has to know about the peer reviewer. Even few chartered accountants who is also a practicing member, they can also become the peer reviewer. What are the procedures that they have to follow? Everything will be seen in chapter 6. Class 26 explains about the eligibility to become a peer reviewer or eligibility to be a peer reviewer. That is a member in practice. If he wants to enroll himself as a peer reviewer, so he should be a member in practice. Also, a member who is not in practice, he is not eligible to become the peer reviewer. So you should have at least 7 years of assurance practice experience, or in case a member is in employment and he should be in employment for at least 10 years, and after that he has got a certificate of practice from ICI, and after getting the certificate you should have minimum of at least 3 years of audit experience, and he should be in full-time practice. So 7 years for a member in practice who has engaged in assurance practice experience, and if any person comes from employment, it is 10 years, and that is minimum. After getting the COP, you should have minimum or at least 3 years of audit experience. Now, who is not eligible to be appointed as a peer reviewer? So this is also very important area. One is, if there are any disciplinary action or proceedings is pending against him, it is not confirmation. If initiated and if it is pending, he is not eligible to become the peer reviewer. And he has been found guilty of professional or other misconduct by the council or board of discipline or disciplinary committee at any time. First is pending, second is confirmed, and third one is if he's been convicted by a competent court, whether within India or outside India, and it is due to an offense involving moral turpitude and punishable with imprisonment. He is not also eligible to become a peer reviewer. Next area is, after peer review, the peer reviewer should not accept any professional assignment from peer review from practice unit for a period of 2 years from the date of appointment. So that means, and after appointment as a peer reviewer, he should not have any professional relationship, professional assignment. He should not get anything from the practice unit from the for a period of 2 years from the date of appointment. Another condition is also there. Before becoming the peer reviewer, you should also be not involved with the practice unit for 2 years prior to the date of appointment, or his partner also in case of the firm. So you are in the middle. You have been appointed as peer reviewer 2 years. After that, you should not accept any assignment. 2 years before, if you have already accepted any assignment, and also you are not eligible to be appointed as the peer reviewer. This is another conditions they have put. And clause 26 is, the reviewer can be de-empaneled by the board due to the reason that name has been removed from the register of ICA. Then he surrenders COP after acceptance of peer review. Okay, I'm ready to do the peer review, but after that I have surrendered my COP, then the reviewer shall be de-empaneled by the board. Then at the time of giving acceptance as a peer reviewer, then he has to sign the declaration of confidentiality in Form 2 as per peer review guidelines to 2022. So the peer reviewer has to give the declaration of confidentiality to the practicing unit. Now we are going for class 27. That is, there is a training and test for peer review. There are two types of tests. One is normal test. That is, he has to undergo the training imparted by the board. And after the training, he has to pass the test conducted by the board. He can do all sorts of peer review. But to do the peer review for the listed entities, he has to undergo a special training, and for that also he has to pass another test conducted by the board in addition to normal training and test. So this is very, very important. Then peer reviewer has to submit the application form 3 to the board for enrollment. Now peer reviewer, he has to submit an application for the enrollment. Then he has to give a declaration of confidentiality in form 3 to the board. Then peer review the panel from the date of peer review test. That is, in normal practice, you should be in the panel of 3 years. That is, after becoming a peer reviewer, you'll be there for 3 years. Suppose if you have peer reviewer for the listed entities, you'll be there in the panel for only for 2 years. So for normal peer reviewer, you'll be there in the panel for peer review panel for 3 years, and for the listed entities, you'll be in the panel for 2 years. Then peer reviewer has to approach the board within 6 months before expiry of his empanelment for undergoing fresh training and test. That is before, that is for the renewal. For the renewal of peer review certificate, he has to apply to the, approach the board before expiration of 6 months. Then he has to undergo fresh training and he has to write once again the test. That means you have to update all the provisions. This is a basic concept of peer review. Section 28 says the board shall maintain the register for peer reviewer, and that they have to maintain region-wise and city-wise. This should be there. Then application with the declaration of confidentiality received from the peer reviewer. That is, board has to maintain all the applications with confidential. That is, peer reviewer has to submit the confidentiality report, declaration of confidentiality to the board, and they have to maintain. And what are the names of the members removed from the panel of reviewers? For that also the board has to maintain the list. Now, board has the power to appoint the peer reviewer for any practice unit, but peer reviewer is not eligible to be appointed to the practice unit provided or if he or his partner have any obligation or conflict of interest in the practice unit, and he has to undergo training or articleship under any of the partner of the peer review. I mean, from the by the practice unit. If he is an articleship of any practice unit, he is not eligible to be appointed as a peer reviewer, and he has been a partner in practice unit. So all these 3 conditions, if there are there, then that peer reviewer is not eligible to be appointed as a peer reviewer to the practice unit. Then register of empaneled peer reviewer maintained at the secretary. So register is there about the peer reviewer and empaneled peer reviewer, and that has to be maintained at the secretariat of the peer review board. Then register has to contain the number of assignments handled by the peer reviewer and what are the observations made by the board. So that means a clear indication that there's a restriction in giving the peer review assignment. So the board has to distribute the peer review assignment to the peer reviewer in equal basis. That is, one peer reviewer should not be encouraged. So there should be some priority. Say if there are 10 peer reviewers, all the 10 peer reviewers, all the works have to be divided and given to the peer reviewers. What is the obligation of peer reviewer? Peer reviewer has to comply with the provisions of peer review guidelines of 2022. And in case the any non-compliance of the provisions of peer review guidelines of 2022, then board has a power to initiate the action as per the law. Then peer reviewer should not take any extracts, that is after completion or during the peer review process. He is not supposed to take the client's records or client's files that are made available to him. So this is also very serious matter, because sometimes the peer reviewer wants to view the client details. So you should not take any extract, but he can have the working notes, but he has got no right to take the extract of practice unit's clients. Then the peer reviewer has to complete the entire process of peer review process as per the time or as per the extended time. Sometimes the time is extended beyond 20 days, then peer reviewer and along with the practicing unit, they have to make a joint request to extend the time with the reason. So they have to complete the peer review process on time. Then peer reviewer has to submit the report to the board on time. Then the peer reviewer has to maintain the working papers. And whenever the board asks for the working papers, then the peer reviewer has to submit the working papers to the board as per its directions. Normally, the board can direct the peer reviewer to submit the working papers within 18 months of submission of the peer review. So that means it's a clear indication that the peer reviewer has to maintain all the working papers up to 18 months from the date of submission of the peer review report. Then, in case if the peer reviewer wants any assistance, yes, he has got the power to appoint any assistant to help him during the peer review, but with the one condition that that assistant should also be a chartered accountant, he should also be in practice. And in case if this chartered accountant in practice, if he is assisting the peer reviewer, then all the liabilities of the peer reviewer are also applicable to the assistant because he is a qualified chartered accountant and that too is in practice. Suppose if he assists the peer reviewer, then all the liabilities, all the obligations are as applicable to peer reviewer. This is what I want to say about the peer reviewer. This is what peer review guidelines say 2022 said about the peer reviewer. Now we are going to see the final chapter 7 of peer review guidelines, that is miscellaneous area. Here, the immunity available to the peer reviewer and others, except as provided under any class of peer review guidelines 2022, or liability arising out of the own acts under the Code of Ethics under the provisions of Charter Offence Act, the following persons are not to be held liable. That means if there is any specific violation under peer review guidelines 2022, he is liable. And if the member is doing any violation of Code of Ethics, then he is also liable. If that is not there, then the following persons are not to be held as liable. Practice unit. Then the practice unit has to submit all the records or documents to the peer reviewer on time or as per the direction of the peer reviewer. Then he is not liable to be held. He is not liable to be held under disciplinary proceedings. Then peer reviewer, if he is acting as per the peer review guidelines, he is not held. Then member of the board, because even the member of the board, they have member of the board also. He has to give the declaration. The member of the board must be from the council. That is, all 50%, not less than 50% of the members are chartered accountants. So that member should not deviate the Code of Ethics or the provisions of the Charter Accountants Act of 1949. And all this there in class 32 about the confidentiality. Then strict confidentiality has to be maintained during the peer review process because the confidence, maintaining confidence is very much important because one practice, one charter accountant who is a peer reviewer, he is going to another practice unit. He knew everything about that practice unit. So this charter accountant who is a peer reviewer, he must maintain the confidence, strict confidential. All confidence has to be maintained by peer reviewer and the member of the board, even the peer secretariat, the peer review secretariat, qualified assistant. Qualified assistant, I already said about the CA. He can also assist the peer reviewer. Then practice unit. Everybody has to maintain the strict confidence. Then all persons maintain secrecy at all times and preserve any matter related to process. That means all the persons who are directly related to peer review process must maintain all the secrecy. Otherwise, they will be caught by the provisions of Charter Accountants Act of 1949 and the institute will definitely take the disciplinary actions. Then peer reviewer should not use or disclose the contents of the peer review report or any confidential matter about the peer review process except as directed by the board or council. So without any getting any direction or permission from the board or council, the peer reviewer is not supposed to reveal or disclose the contents of the peer review report to the public or to anyone. Then non-compliance with the secrecy of the provisions. Suppose if the board member, if the practicing unit, if the peer reviewer, they have not maintained the secrecy, that is, if they fail to maintain, then it's a non-compliance of secrecy provisions. then it amount to professional misconduct as per the section of 22 of the Chartered Accountants Act of 1949. So they have to maintain the secrecy. Then declaration of the confidentiality has to be signed by all the members of the board as well as the board's secretary. So that means all the details have to be submitted to the board. So they have to keep all the records in a confidential manner. So all the members, they have to give you a declaration of confidentiality to the board. Then, in case if there is any difficulty that is being faced by the peer reviewer or practice unit during the course of peer review, then that is sometimes it may be with reference to interpretation or peer review interpretation of some peer review guidelines 2022. Then, in that case, the council will issue a clarification through the circulars otherwise or any other mode after recording the reasons therefore in writing. Why? They are giving that classification. Everything has to be given in writing by the council by way of a circular or clarification. Then sometimes there are some strict procedures are there. There is a provision also there in the in class 34. It gives power to the board to relax some guidelines, to relax some strict enforcement of the guidelines. This is due to the professional development or relax. This is due to the development or regulate the profession. Sometimes this type of relaxation may be given by the council. Through the board, they have to initiate. So council, in order to regulate the profession, they use these powers. And in order to develop the profession, they may relax some conditions from the strict enforcement of guidelines. This may be due to some delay in submission of the report, or sometimes the peer reviewer, there is a difference of opinion between the peer reviewer and practice unit that has to be solved. So they say that there should not be any controversial discussion. So this all strict enforcement is there, but the peer review, council may relax those conditions. This is due to the requirement is professional and technical in nature, but not substantial. So because the procedure is very cumbersome, that it is very technical in nature, and if it is not substantial, the board, that is the council, may relax the enforcement. That is strict enforcement, they can relax. Then that technical non-compliance was caused due to the factors beyond the control of the members. Suppose if there is any error in the system, it's a technical mistake. It is you cannot treat that as non-compliance. Suppose if there is any virus has attacked the system. So these are the factors that is go beyond the control of the members. Then this is the final class of peer review guidelines of 2022, class 35, repeals and savings. So when the peer review guidelines of 2022 comes into effect, then the statement on peer review 2021 shall stand rendered. So that means that it has been replaced. Statement on peer review 2021 has been replaced by peer review guidelines of 2022. Then, notwithstanding any decision, anything done, or any action taken or purported to have been taken or taken, any peer review certificate issued, that is, if it is peer review, in peer review statement on peer review 2021, peer review certificates have been issued, and the process has commenced, and peer review guidelines for 2022 comes into effect from 110 to 2022. That is, all those that are pending on 110 on 2022. It is to be treated as at par with peer review guidelines of 2022 or initiated in terms of the said peer review statement 2021 shall be deemed to have been taken under the corresponding provisions of this guidelines. So this is what I want to say about the peer review guidelines. All the 7 chapters I have covered in my presentation. I hope all the members will go through this presentation that is given in my view. So all the views that I have expressed is my view. Please refer the peer review guidelines of 2022 And also, there's a peer review manual. There are two manuals are there. Please go through that manual also. And there are forms also. You have to follow the forms. There are 10 forms from 1 to 10. That also we will discuss in later part of the presentation. Today, I'm going to stop the presentation of this peer review guidelines of 2022. I have covered all the 7 chapters of peer review guidelines 2022 to the maximum extent in detail, but wherever necessary, I have given my explanation. Please go through the peer review guidelines of 2022 and understand the classes, then act accordingly. I wish you all the best for your peer review career. நன்றி, வணக்கம்.